What's up, Starcraft fans? Today we're doing the tier list for Burning Evacuation and Minor Evacuation. So Brian, let us hear the mutation.
Minor Evac is the map where we have to fight our way to the evac ships, and defend them from the infested as they launch. We have to successfully defend 5 ships to win. On brutal difficulty, we lose the game if we lose more than 1 ship. Enemies make their friends stronger and leave fire on the ground when they die. Your buildings respawn for aim on if you lose them.
Alright, so we have Tutu and Sticks-Bender on the call with us today. How are you guys?
Great.
Doing pretty good.
Alright, so let's begin. Tutu, how are you going to rank the commanders this week?
So for this mutation, Scorched Earth is mildly annoying, so commanders with strong air units will do kind of good here because they don't have to worry about the Scorched Earth, but they also want to have a good ground presence so that the infested don't just
Bum
attack
rush
the
the
ships.
ship. That's true. How about you, Sticks-Bender?
Probably there's going to be basically Avenger is a bit of a problem for people who already have trouble keeping up with the DPS needed for infested, and Scorched Earth is a bit of a problem for people who are melee and don't have good healing, and Eminent Domain is a problem for like 2 or 3 dudes who are a weird exception rather than the rule. And other than that, it's going to be a minor evacuation tier list.
There it is.
It's going to be a minor evacuation tier list with a couple of weird caveats.
Yeah, let's begin. Abathur, where do we have him?
So Abathur, I had some trouble with him. So
I didn't.
yeah, the early game it's all right, but as the early game's all right, but later on, if you don't have enough Vipers, his ground gets like run over. I don't think you should use swarm hosts. So I used P0 and mass mutalisks and evolution chamber wall to block the ships, and then lots of Vipers and blinding cloud. But that's a lot of work, so I put him in C.
How about you, Sticks-Bender?
I didn't think it was that much work, to be honest, to spam blinding cloud when I've done it in the past, but yeah, pretty much it's just going to be like you're going to use mass vipers and you're just going to blinding cloud everything, and you can hold ships with literally just vipers. The Abathur speedrun does so. You literally just blinding cloud the infested, and they just kind of sit there awkwardly wishing they could actually damage the ship. I am not kidding. That's exactly what you do. And that's pretty much what you're going to want to do here. So, because otherwise you're actually going to run into problems, because Abathur has pretty bad DPS overall. He's very much durability oriented, not damage oriented. So pretty much, yeah, do the same thing as Tutu said. Make Vipers, make Mutas if you want to have some damage to, pop air units and whatnot. But mostly just spam disabling cloud. So many disabling clouds that even if you didn't kill a single infested, Amon still couldn't kill the ship.
All right, letter.
Oh, I think it's easier than Tutu makes out, and it would be B, but it's literally just how hard do you think that's going to be? How hard does that sound to you, CTG?
That sounds like someone who insists on not using the Viper abductees, but if that's the strategy, I would say it sounds like honestly, it sounds like a C than a B. Because considering the options that the other commanders have of, actually just powering through this mutation, I think it's more like a C. But is that okay with you?
Yeah.
All right then. C it is.
It's literally just a matter of how hard do you consider that micro, because it works very thoroughly. It's just, is the micro hard or easy? I don't think it's that hard, but maybe it's hard for other people. That's the problem. Anyways, Alarak, he has plenty of damage. Also, he throws things by angrily waving his arms, which means Scorched Earth doesn't like to land on top of you. And also, Eminent Domain. If you have an overcharged structure get killed with Eminent Domain, the Taken version does not have structure overcharge on it, so
you're perfectly safe.
Oh no, anyways. You don't care. And just by nature of being Protoss, he even has the thing of, if you do decide to use static defense with photon cannons, if Amon steals the cannons, he also has to steal the pylon, or else they don't do anything.
Yes.
So basically, none of the mutators matter. None of them do anything. Alarak is already one of the most one of the easiest commanders to play on this map. He is an easy S tier.
Do you agree to?
I put him in S. Similar reasons. Although I do think that you probably want to have good ascendant micro. Otherwise, so you can like snipe down the bigger units, and Alarak pushes them back. It's the mothership.
Have you considered just maxing out on destroyers?
No. I don't remember what I did, but I remember I did wall. Like, I did have a wall of cybernetics cores.
That sounds so fancy.
I don't remember having any trouble.
Yeah. I'll just bring up that the attack waves that go for your base can have anti-air splash, but the infested at least don't. So if you just mass destroyers, the infested will just have a really bad day.
Yeah, they kind of ignore the fire.
You can literally just mass void ray your way to victory. It's beautiful.
Added like a couple of supplicants down to ensure that Alarak doesn't eat the flying dudes, but yeah, similar strategy is what I thought for Alarak. Anyway, we're unanimous. S tier, there it is. Arcturus, Mengsk, where do we have him?
Mengsk, so especially with P3, his bunkers have a lot of DPS, so you need to make sure you have enough bunkers. So I would say like 5+ full bunkers. You probably don't want the fire dudes, you just want the troopers and
the blue guys.
Yeah, the blue guns, and that's good enough. And you probably have ESOs at your natural adding extra damage. So if you see that a bunker's about to go down, you can unload it before it goes down, or you just put like 4 SCVs behind the bunkers and they'll repair. And Mengsk repairs really quickly. So yeah, I put him in A.
How about you, Sticksbender?
Yeah, so basically the only thing to really like, Mengsk has great defense with his bunkers and whatnot. The biggest thing to just worry about is like, if you let your bunkers fall, Eminent Domain will punish you severely, because Amon gets all the troopers inside that bunker, and they will not be amused with you. Other than that, yeah, just basically don't try to cheap out and think, oh, this is a good enough defense when you aren't like completely overkill. Yeah. Just be completely overkill and make sure that your bunkers aren't going to die, and you'll be fine. It's fine. Just do overkill and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, A tier makes sense for Mengsk, I think.
With a mutator like this, overkill is exactly the right amount of kill. Also, will that change without prestige?
No.
Still A?
You still need full bunkers. It's just it costs more to get.
Yeah, it costs
a little more to get there.
It costs more minerals, but it costs less gas if you are a big fan of shock divisions, I guess, or whatever.
All right. Anyway, so Arcturus in A, there it is. Artanis, where do we have him?
Artanis suffers horribly, so he's already quite bad at this map. The way that you do this map normally is, I mean, a lot of people like Immortals and Phoenix and whatnot. There is a reason why the speedruns have settled on Mass Dragoon. It is actually the best way to do this map, believe it or not, mostly because of the fact that they have their shield regen constantly to survive the infested being annoying, and also because everything is aberrations.
Yeah.
Aberrations are a pain. Anyways, unfortunately, Scorched Earth Avenger aberrations cause significant health concerns for Dragoons and Immortals, and literally anything Artanis might want to make. You are going to have trouble. If you try to use spin lots, of course, that was already a very unsustainable idea, but now it's really, really bad. Mostly it's just going to come down to Avenger. Avenger, Scorched Earth aberrations are going to be a huge pain to deal with. So Artanis is one of the worst commanders here. However, because it's a relatively easy mutation, that still probably only puts him in like D, I would think.
Do you agree to 2?
I saw Styx's run, and I think my way was better.
High Templar.
So I think Styx went High Templar and Tempest with some Dragoons. I went all Tempest and Cyber Cores. So what happens when you have a Cyber Core wall is that when they take over, when Amon takes them, it becomes Amon's, except for the last one that like lets them reach the ship. So basically, you have like one spot to block.
He basically funnels himself in.
Yes. So you're using the Tempest will try focus down aberrations, disintegrate hybrids or whatever, and then when you shield overcharge, all your cyber cores get tons of HP. So you let them hit you, and then when they finally break through, you drop Archon dudes to block one at a time. You block that exit. You block that one spot where they can hit you, and by that time it should be time up, and you should be good to go. With that said, that's still not as easy as others, so I think D makes sense.
Yeah, I also think
I
D makes
agree
sense.
with you. I agree with you, by the way, that your way is better there. I just literally didn't even. I look at Eminent Domain and I ignore it rather than doing what I should do and saying, "Oh, Eminent Domain, I can cheese the snot out of Amon because he's going to manage to mess himself up with my buildings that he stole."
True.
I should really abuse Eminent Domain more. This is the moral of this story.
I remember having like max supply with like 5,000 resources at the end.
Yeah. It would be a lot. It would be a lot easier if you could just funnel Amon into one choke point like that. Yes, the fact that I had to deal with Amon coming from all directions made it significantly harder.
So that with that in mind, will that go up a tier if we use 2 strategy?
Especially if your ally commander is there to go and mess you up by blowing up your cybernetics cores once Amon steals them.
But that being said, your ally commander is probably stronger.
If you're trying to solo it, this is how you can cheese it to make the solo much easier. Yeah. That said, you're actually still a pretty mediocre commander for the situation, and the only saving grace is that this is an easy mutation. Artanis is terrible at this map. Before the Prestige patch, Artanis is... I brought this up many times. Before the Prestige patch, Artanis' speedrun on this map was almost as slow as you can be while still winning. Like, it almost waited until the end of the time limit, and that was the quote-unquote speedrun for Artanis soloing this map before the Prestige patch. Because it was just a miracle that Artanis could win at all.
There it is, Artanis.
This map is rough for Artanis.
D for Dalam. So let's move on. Dehaka, where do we have him?
Dehaka. So at first I mentioned that you want to have good air units and a strong ground presence to make sure they don't hit the ship. Dehaka has both of those. So your pack leaders with P2 have so much life that you can just tank for a long time. And the Guardians and Mutas, if you use Mutas, they technically have splash, although you can use Guardians as well. I think I just masked Guardians. And so I put him in S.
S tier. How about you, Sticksbender?
Yep, you just make things that fly, and you stick a raid boss on the ground, and Amon proves to be very bad at killing raid bosses.
A raid boss? I have no idea what that means, but sounds cool. Alright, with that prestige, still S, right?
Yeah, you just have Dehaka fighting alongside.
Yeah, you just have to micro.
Now you have Godzilla to help your raid boss.
Alright.
You can make Amon fight 3 raid bosses at once. 4 if you count Dehaka as a raid boss.
So 5 if you have Zweihacker.
Oh wow, yeah.
Let's move on. Fenix, where do we have him?
Okay, so Fenix has pretty good units. I don't know how P2 would do here. I will just assume it would do meh, like worse but not bad enough to be like panic worthy. But I would say just make like Adept Colossus Carrier. Just make big Robo Energy. and Warbringer and all that, and your army is just kind of strong enough. It has enough damage. It has the splash damage. It has the crowd control if Warbringer slowing attacks. You should be able to just kind of rip through the infested with Colossus Carrier as long as you're just macroing properly and having enough units.
How would Mass Scout fare here?
I don't know, but I don't make a habit of using Mass Scout because I don't like how Mass Scout dies a lot. Every time I've tried Mass Scout, I've just found, oh wow, these things are paper airplanes that even on infested maps, I've just been like, you know what? Okay, at least Scouts function decently here, but you know what worked better? Carriers and Colossi every time. So I prefer Carriers and Colossi. You can make Scouts if you really like Scouts. If you think Scouts are a cool unit, go ahead. Make some Scouts.
I like airplanes.
Anyways, I think he's A tier. His army is strong enough to just kind of power through everything, and it's very straightforward. You just macro, you make an army, and you just stand in front of the ship and shoot everything.
That's true. How about you, Tutu?
I mass scouts.
There it is.
Very strong.
There it is.
I had like a few of each champion plus mass carrier scouts, and then in the back I have conservators. And for the last waves, I put like buildings, and when Amon kills the buildings, they can't go that way. They must go around.
That's awesome.
So yeah, don't use P2 for this one. I put him in A.
All right, that's unanimous after all. Without prestige, will it change at all? Scouts will not change regardless of prestige because they don't. Well, they still won't take damage on this map, I think.
If you use P2, then things will get very hectic.
Yeah, maybe. I can see that. Han and Horner, where do we have him?
Han and Horner. So there's a common theme among my strats, which is that you use buildings to block, and that helps funnel. So I used P2 Han and Horner with mass wraiths.
Engineering base. Oh, wraiths.
And Hellbats, Wraith Hellbat, and then and Vikings.
Ah, there it is.
Landed Vikings.
Yeah, landed Vikings. Pretty good.
So no. Well, my landed Vikings died a lot. So
so they suck.
I think
they
suck.
They suck.
I tried them, but they suck.
Is Tutu Imba or do they just suck?
The only situation where landed Vikings are really good against is Alien Incubation, and Avenger kind of messes up with that because remember, Avenger aberrations, as I mentioned, are the biggest threat to all life.
Oh yeah, Avenger abs, heroic abs. Let's
yeah, they hurt.
Yeah, let's continue.
So I put Han Horner in C. The Hellbats are pretty good.
So better than Artanis.
Actually, maybe equal C or D.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking. I don't think they're as good as Abathur, and I do think they are quite close to Artanis.
Yeah,
I put Abathur, Han Horner, and Artanis together, but Abathur got split off, so I would say Han Horner is closer to Artanis than Abathur.
Okay.
I think Abathur is quite a bit better than Han Horner and Artanis, but I think Han Horner and Artanis are in the same tier, so yeah, put Han Horner in D tier.
Abathur can abduct the first ship and every ship with Vipers.
And more importantly, he can just blinding cloud with Vipers so that you can, without cheesing and breaking the game, you can win anyways because Viper good unit.
Viper good unit.
Very good unit.
All right. So D tier, everyone?
Yep.
Without prestige, still D tier?
Presumably.
All right.
Yeah.
I think once you funnel them, technically speaking, I believe Han and Horner could actually can use the fact that when buildings burn down, it doesn't do the thing where it doesn't do the check to make sure it's not blocking Amon off. So you can actually hardwall Amon off with any Terran commander.
Wait, why? Why would Terran? Oh, because
if the building burns down instead of Amon shooting it down, it doesn't do the check to see if it's blocking Amon off of a hard wall. So what you do is you shoot your building down to 10. You kill it down to 10. You get it down to 10 hit points. If you kill it yourself, it never turns into Amon's. You have to get it down to 10 hit points, let it burn down, and then it becomes Amon's and doesn't check if it's a wall.
So then you only have to fight off ranged units or make the wall big enough.
Air units.
That...
Then you literally only have to fight the air units. If you just wall off the ship, you only have to worry about air units because you can just wall out the spawn areas away from the ship.
Then the Vikings would be actually good because they only shoot up. You don't have to worry about your wall dying.
No, their anti-air is terrible. Rates are still better.
Even against
Yeah.
Oh,
Vikings
well.
are just crap units.
Longhorn's Vikings are just awful. They're
All
just
right.
completely
So
awful. Only Jimmy did Vikings right.
does that move them up a tier or still D?
Like you would need to know that how to
You
do
would
that,
need
and I
to
don't
know
think.
how,
Yeah, that's
and
true.
more importantly, you need your ally to not screw it up.
That's pretty involved. All right, D tier it is. Let's move on. Karax, where do you have him?
Karax, he's like Phoenix. If you go P2, he's literally just better Phoenix. Or if you don't go P2, he's Phoenix, but with buildings that are really good. And yeah, you make buildings, carriers, colossi, shoot everything. It all melts into a puddle of goo. If you use P2, then you just make like carriers and colossi without even needing buildings, and probably even easier. If you use P3, you can technically you could even like top bar solo this with cybernetics cores and top bar P3. Like it's gonna be easy for Karax. I think he's very high A tier, but I don't think he's S tier only because the S tier commanders there are just so brain dead and easy. Like Alarak literally doesn't even need to build a base. You just need to build a farm of pylons and make destroyers.
Well, you do need harvesting. You do need income.
Yeah.
So it's technically
You need
still
income.
a base. All right.
But like you don't have to make tech. Karax at least has to macro, so I guess he's A tier only, but he could be S tier.
I would
have no
Alarak's
complaint if
upgrades.
Karax was S tier.
Anyway.
Yeah, he can.
Tutu, how about
Point
you?
is.
So I went for Robo Karax this one because there aren't many units that hit. There aren't many air units, and you can Shadow Cannon or Spear of Adun them. And then Immortals are great for blasting anyone who gets too big.
Yes.
And Colossi set fire onto the ground with the Zealots, double life Zealots. They don't care about anything. So overall, it's really easy, but not as easy as the S tiers. So I put them in A.
All right. Still A without prestige.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There it is. Kerrigan, where do we have him?
So Kerrigan is one of the commanders that's kind of she's good on this mutation. This map, but she's not very good on this mutation because if she's alone on the ground, then you kind of get wrecked. If she dies, you don't want her to die. And I think I used lurkers, but because I used lurkers, they can't see the lurkers, so they only hit. They only see her and
her worms.
Yeah, and her worms. I would say don't wall with Omega worms. You wall with evolution chambers for the same reason as before, which is they become Amons and then they funnel stuff. I also put the lurkers in positions where the enemies don't walk, so they can't actually, like, the fire doesn't hurt the lurkers.
Have you considered going Dude Lords?
I thought of that, and I didn't want to. So
I was wondering.
I'm not sure if that would be better.
Personally,
I was wondering.
I think lurkers work better.
Better? I mean, the Doodlings would give the infested a different target than Kerrigan herself, so she could do more of the work using the Zap Kerrigan. And then
I have a different solution for that. I'll let Tutu finish.
All right.
Yeah, I put her with Abathur. So C.
All right. How about you, Sixbender?
Have you all heard the way of transfusion? You make a blob of queens. You spam click transfuse on Kerrigan while she just stands there and tanks 8,000 damage like it's nothing. And personally, I would probably just go P2 Kerrigan here because that just makes the Kerrigan hero unit so powerful on her own that she should be fine, because anything that does, deal damage to her that's problematic, she just stun locks it, because as long her P2 Kerrigan stuns everything she zaps. I think P2 Kerrigan should have relatively little ability surviving by herself, as long as she's got enough lurkers shredding things to make sure that it's a thinned out horde that's coming at her. And by thinned out horde, I mean it's basically just going to be some bruised aberrations with Avenger. And I would just have a big old blob of queens there to just give Kerrigan a new health bar as necessary. And
or 2.
I think she
or
is
5.
B tier at the lowest, to be honest.
I agree with B tier at the lowest.
I believe I was the one who like went and I remember one time I had a group of people watching me and they were all really confused watching me using queens on Kerrigan and just like, what?
Well, you're a 1v1 player.
Make queens? It's like, yes, you just make queens. What's so weird about this?
You're a 1v1 player. You know how to do that stuff. We're co-op players. All we know how to do is A move and cast nukes. That's all we know how to do. We don't.
For some reason, you guys make Mutalisks on Kerrigan, which I will never understand.
That's another thing I would like to try on here. Mutalisks aren't that bad once you have enough of them. And on this map, you don't really lose Mutalisks because they don't.
I will bring up one bug with co-op transfuse that still hasn't been fixed with all the bug fixes that Blizzard's doing. So it's supposed to be impossible to transfuse something that's at full health and waste your energy. This is the case for all units in co-op. It is not the case for structures in co-op. So you can transfuse a full health structure. So worms can get really in the way.
Nice.
That's about it.
Anyway.
Just move Kerrigan away from the worm so you don't accidentally pump the worm full of transfuse when it's at full health.
Tutu, is B good enough for you?
Yeah, I think my strategy probably wasn't that good, which is why I thought she wasn't as good as she may have been.
Yeah, I agree with B at the
also,
lowest.
if you're doing this map very slowly, you probably have time to get broodlords and lurkers if you want to.
Yeah,
let's be real. Like 30 minutes is a long time if you're doing the map slow.
Anyway, I think B is fine. Without prestige, probably still B. Nova, where do we have him?
Her hero unit has big old shotgun to blow up all the little guys, and then liberators will liberate the aberrations. The aberrations might think they're big and strong with their double health, but liberators say, no, you are nothing. Just like the hybrid that are next to you.
It's going to be an aberration liberation party.
You can also, if you want, if you're using P1, you can just P1 siege tanks and not have that many liberators. Like, tanks are good against infested. That's like what tanks are good for, is murdering infested.
Yes.
Yeah, she is Terran, and she has all of the good static defense, like all of the good siege units to blow up infested, just absolutely vaporize them. And her hero unit is decently good here with the whole blinking to get shields and shotgun blast to cut through all the little guys and deal decent damage to the aberrations. Overall, she should probably be in A tier, I would think.
What do you think about massing ghosts?
That is going to have serious DPS problems, but on the bright side, the ghosts will be effectively invulnerable due to being invincible, and Amon sends very little detection to the ships.
Yeah, I didn't think they were a strong liberators per se, but it would be.
The strength of ghosts is the fact that they can use their snipe. This has a 30-second cooldown.
Yeah,
that's a problem when the ships are a constant horde of infested for 2 minutes.
It sounds good though. Pew 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 pew. Pew 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 pew.
It's very satisfying. Unfortunately, it's just not that effective. The damage is just very pathetic compared to your other units.
How about you, Tutu?
So I went for the usual P1 Liberator stuff. And as long as you have the Liberator attack structure thing, you can just use Raven turrets to block. And once the Raven turrets die, they get shot down by the Liberators almost immediately.
All right.
And you can also drop a pair of Hellbats if you need some more buffer on the ground, because you probably have lots of minerals. And you drop a defensive drone, Nova, and the Hellbats.
Yeah,
your ground is just safe.
I was about to say, would it be more cost efficient to just drop a defensive drone and Nova? But yeah, point
The
taken.
only reason to drop the Hellbats would be because you are running out of defense drone charges, not because of mineral limitation.
Anyway, continue.
I was able to get both bonuses, and because Liberators can kill Blightbringer so quickly.
And the Eradicators, they both just
Yeah.
die to Liberators in like 2 seconds flat.
So yeah, I put her in S because it's just super easy, and you can airstrike all the waves to death. So you don't have to fight. You can kill them before they even exit the shuttles. So there's no Avenger there either.
That's a bit of skill shotting though. But do you agree, Sixbender?
Yeah, I have no complaints about Nova and S. She's really good.
All right, Nova, S tier. S for spooky. Let's move on. Raynor, where do we have him?
Raynor. I don't know, or I don't really care what other people say, but P1 is good on minor evacuation. And I used P1 for this one, and it was very good because the DPS density is really, really high, and they have a lot of life. So like before you start a ship, you control click the fire bats and just move them in front and just let them stand there. Then you have marauders and marines and medics behind them. And basically the fire might like touch the fire bat's feet, but they have so much life it doesn't really care. They don't really care. And then you can, if necessary, summon a Hyperion and then give your dudes even more DPS.
If I recall correctly, the fire butts have as much health as Ultralisks, so it's really dense. The health.
Yeah, you have a lot of life, and so people who who want to use P1 don't need to mule. Sure, go ahead. I put him in B. He's not like super good, but he's not that bad.
How about you, Sixbender?
I think the reason you're putting him in B is because you're insisting on using P1 and thus using bio units when you had siege
tanks.
Siege tank.
Yeah,
I would say just like mass siege tanks and missile turrets, and like seriously just siege tanks and missile turrets. You can make some marines if you want to add filler and like extra DPS, but it just tank turret should, I would think, put him in A tier, to be honest.
I think so
too. His tanks are going to do fine.
Hyperion and Duskwings to
but
clear
I
bases.
could see him in B tier. It is going to be a little bit more, like it's a little bit weaker than, it is definitely a step down from the people in A tier right now.
Okay.
You look at their sheer firepower.
I feel like if you use tanks, it gets really cramped. Unless that's the point.
That's actually the problem. Yes, that's the biggest. Literally, I think the biggest argument for putting him in B tier with tanks is, but how do you fit all the tanks? And that's the awkward part. Is yes, you just shove them in there, and hopefully we could just fit them all in there. Don't worry about it; they all fit. I assure you.
I think that's actually works in Raynor's favor, so that they all don't get killed by the same fire.
Nah, I mean, it would be better if you could just have them all like clumped up so they could just all be firing at once, and the infested would just never even get vaguely close.
That's true, though. Oh well.
As is, though, it's fine. Honestly, your tanks should just cut through everything like no problem.
Yeah. So do you think he's closer to B or closer to A?
I would put him in A personally, but I won't complain if we put him in B.
How about you, Tutu? Do you have any complaints?
I don't think he should be an A, just because I think for a lot of Raynor armies, it's just like if you're off by a few units, you might get run over.
That's true.
And
unlike, say, Kerrigan here, if his army gets run over, it's not going to be like, well, at least we were invisible, so the ship died, but our units are fine. Jimmy doesn't have that.
All right.
Yeah, so it's kind of like if your macro was a little off, then you're just kind of weak. You're not that strong. Whereas the A guys are like they're more forgiving.
Mm-hmm.
All right, there it is. So Raynor in B. At least he's not. Yeah, at least not on the lower half this time. Stetboy, where do we have him?
So Ultralisks counter the map entirely. You do not need P3 for it. If you do use P3, it's very silly and they just devour everything. But if you don't use P3, You just need an overcharged satellite, and they will out-heal everything. They rip through armored units like it's nothing, so they will just chew apart aberrations. The aberrations do not win that fight against Mecha Ultralisks. Their mech suck that lets them life leech from mech units works against air units, so they can even kill the Banshees. The only thing your Ultralisks can't kill is the flying hybrid, of which there's like 4 over the course of the entire mission. Gary's got it covered. Even if you use P1, Gary's still got it covered because Gary is not that incompetent. He's actually pretty crazy strong.
It's almost like he's a superhero or something.
Yes. Even without Super Gary, Gary is very scary. So
scary Gary.
Yeah. Make Ultralisks, put Green Zone. Don't die because Ultralisks are silly. Like Stetmann Ultralisks are insanely powerful. And
enjoy life. There it is.
Yeah. S tier, very easy S tier.
What do you think, Tutu?
Yeah, massing Ultralisks is great against ground, not so good against air. But there aren't many air units, so yeah, you don't have to worry about that. And on an infested map, the Ultralisks just eat everything and with P3, they become even stronger. So S seems good.
There it is. Stukov. Where do I have him?
Stukov. You should mass tanks. If you mass lots and lots of tanks with maybe a few Diamondbacks early on for the slime, you should be fine. I put him in B.
All right. How about you, Stixbender?
Yep, I agree. The tanks also have to be the Diamondbacks are also going to be your anti-air, assuming you don't have enough missile turrets. And notably, Stukov is not a real Terran because he doesn't have turret range. So his turrets can't, although I guess no one's a real Terran except Swann, because for some reason high-sec auto-tracking is a specialty item, unlike in 1v1 where everyone gets it. Anyways, the point is infested Banshees have 8 range, missile turrets have 7 range, and so you're going to want the Diamondbacks to drag people down to the floor. But your Alexander and Apocalypse are also pretty solid Banshee murderizing. So yeah, basically tanks, boom, bang, pow. Same problem as Jimmy. He's going to be cramped for space, and that's about it because he's got plenty of firepower if he could just fit it.
His tanks have 18 range, so they can shoot from earlier. Anyway.
This is true, but they also are less DPS, and they also aren't hit scan, so it's trade-off. He's just going to do very similar to Jimmy, honestly.
All right. So, B tier?
Yeah, B tier.
Also, Stukov's in Terran. He's definitely Zerg. Swann, where do you have him?
How do y'all like tanks? Are you tired of hearing about tanks yet? Tanks are funny. Tanks. They're great against infested. Are they good anywhere else? If you're Stukov, yeah. If you're not Stukov, not really. But against infested.
Hey, Nova's tanks are good at putting spider mines.
Yes, they're expensive vultures, except against infested, where they remember to actually be a tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, tanks are they're designed to kill infested. Infested are slow. They're small, so they can all cram together into a tight space to get maximum value from splash damage. They're short-ranged. They just saunter in and die. It's beautiful. Also, Flaming Betties are fun and very, very tanky. Blaster Billies are incredibly high DPS and will just chew apart aberrations and have concussive shells, so the aberrations can't even walk very fast. If you have P1 Swann, then you can just tell aberrations to stop moving altogether because Blaster Billy slow plus Laser Drill slow stack to make them have like minus 95% move speed or something silly.
That's
so
awesome.
They basically don't move. And being melee units, that's slightly concerning for them. Yeah, buildings, tanks, only weakness is space, but his buildings are so good that I'd argue he could go up to A tier.
Okay, how about you, Tutu?
Despite Eminent Domain, I still just massed buildings everywhere, like just lots of Blaster Billies and Flaming Betties and
just to prove a point
tanks in the back. tanks later on. If for some reason one of your turrets goes down, your blaster abilities will just shoot it down immediately. So it's like not a big deal. I put Swann in A.
All right, unanimous A.
You use your call downs to clear the next area, and then you just fly a Herc and tank in or something, and then build.
Do the Flaming Betties still have that thing where when they're burrowed, they avoid the Scorched Earth because they have a lower profile?
I didn't consider that. I'm not sure.
Maybe, I don't know.
All right, I guess it doesn't matter because they'll be firing all the time. So Swann and A. Tychus, where do we have him?
Tychus.
That's me.
Your job. Yes.
Tychus.
Enjoy.
Tychus P3. So Tychus P3 is best for minor evacuation because you have a 2-minute Odin and 2-minute ship time. So you basically have Odin for every ship, and then you just give him one of the rattlesnake healing stations, and then he doesn't really die, and he stands there and kills everything. And he can. I also got both bonuses with him, so I put him in A, but I can see him in S.
Yeah, actually, I was wondering why not S. How about you, Sixbender?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Is like he's probably A, possibly S.
So no one's gonna put him in S.
No one can put an S. I was seeing what others think.
Yeah,
he would be low S, but he could be S.
Yes, with P3, I think.
Without
P3,
he's not S. He's probably only A without P3.
all right, sounds fair. So S.
Sure.
Yeah.
There it is. Vorazun, where do we have him?
I don't like being Vorazun on this map because Dark Templar have to worry about the Infested always like being so dangerous at melee with their aberrations and explodey baneling dudes. Even if they don't have good detection, they're still scary. But you also kind of want Dark Templar for the DPS. Unfortunately, Scorched Earth shows up and says, about that. If your Dark Templar are ever at melee range with Infested, there will be problems. With aberrations with Avenger running at you at Mach 5, it's going to be really hard to avoid ever running into Scorched Earth problems. And the fire left by aberrations is pretty big. So you're probably going to want to make air units, which is what I usually do anyways on this map because I just prefer having air units on this map. But you're still going to run into problems because aberrations with Avenger run at Mach speed and punch the ship very angrily. Cybernetics Core Wall, funnel them in. Same thing as Tutu's been doing. That's what you're going to want to do. Abuse Eminent Domain as much as you can. But yeah, you're basically just going to have air units with like Void Rays burning everything down with Oracles and or Corsairs crowd controlling the Infested, and your Cybernetics Core Wall funneling them when Amon steals it. Probably looking at C, maybe D.
B, maybe D?
I said C, maybe
D.
D.
C. All right, there it is. Tutu, how about you?
Those who put... I think you're playing Vorazun on this map wrong because I did not abuse Eminent Domain. I just abused the map where I make the giant Dark Pylon wall. And until you get to the late game where there are the detector hybrids, they can't see anything. They can't see you, so they don't fight. And if they don't fight, they don't die. They don't get bigger. So you just have Corsairs hanging at the ship to kill the Banshees, and maybe the detectors. So you have an Oracle or something if they send a detector, and that's it. And you don't fight anything on the ground. You just let them stand there until 2 minutes are up, and you do that for every ship. And
how big is your cloak wall on ship 1?
If it's the middle, it has to be the middle though, because if it's not the middle, I restart. But the cloak wall it's not complete because I don't have enough money.
Yeah.
But you have I use Shadow Guard, and then I use
time stop.
A time stop, and then I block off everything. So there's like 1 or 2 spaces maybe they can walk through, and then by 6 minutes there's you get a second set of shadow guards to kill more stuff if you need help. You can watch what I did, but basically you make a giant dark pylon wall, and you just kill you focus down the air units, and you might want an extra dark pylon in case, or you want to make sure you black hole the nemesis so that they don't disable the dark pylon.
Yeah.
And for emergencies, I have oracles dumping stasis wards behind the cybernetics cores.
Oh yeah, that's
so
true.
There's like
they can just
there's like no chance of them getting close. The only problem with this strat is if your ally wants to play, they can't, because you're blocking everything.
Yeah, that's also true.
So yeah, I put Vorazun in A because your ally doesn't need to do anything, but if they want to, then you can't
screwed.
do that.
You're kind of screwed. So
I think for some reason my brain was thinking of Dead of Night with Vorazun, and thus forgetting that you can cloak wall, because obviously in Dead of Night you can't the special infested detect stuff. This doesn't have special infested. Amon just doesn't have detection on this map. Like, seriously. So yeah, cloak wall. Haha, cloak wall, funny, go burr. Also, if your ally has any way of getting inside the cloak wall, then they can just vibe inside the cloak wall and be like, yo, I'm invisible too.
All right, so A?
I would say your ally should not be there, because killing stuff makes the other stuff stronger and makes them scarier. So you actually don't want to kill anything.
But what point? What will being scarier? How will being scarier help them if they can't even see the wall?
The Corsairs.
They walk faster and they have more health, so they might be able to angrily punch your dark pylon of banshees.
Yeah, the air units are stronger. So like,
which should be an no anyways if you are maxed out.
Because Corsairs are weak against air. Like, I mean, they're not weak, but they're not good against Avenger.
Well, against Banshees, they'll have absolutely no problems because they have bonus against the double damage against light. Will make sure the Avenger problem isn't actually a problem. But against hybrid nemesis, if you don't have Void Rays for that, you're gonna run into problems if your ally is making them all Avengered up.
Yeah, that's
I would
true.
black hole. When you see the nemesis, you black hole them and just focus them down. You use a second black hole if necessary.
Yep. Anyways, basically just make anti-air, cloak wall. Yeah.
All right.
Of course.
So A?
Don't be like me and forget that cloak wall works against these infested, because these infested are different from the other infested. Yeah, she can go in A.
All right. I actually want to try that now. I haven't tried it yet. Zagara, where do I have him?
Zagara, the usual. Let's say it together.
By launchers.
Yes. Exactly. Do not wall off with hatcheries, because if you lose a hatchery, Amon builds circlings and queens.
Yeah. Wait, can you make evolution chambers with just overlords with spreading creep, and then you take the overlords away, the evolution chambers will run out of health because they don't have creep, and they'll spawn for Amon?
I'm not sure, but
I have no idea. You can test that, because that's actually a brilliant idea if that works.
Yeah,
I used queens.
If that works, there's actually some Temple of the Past mutations, I believe, that could be soloed by Zagara that haven't been soloed yet by Zagara by using that.
Actually, I want to try that now.
This particular one, I don't know if that works, just because, then you don't have to do anything if you just block them completely. You need to stay back and fight.
Just make Scourge and just punch any air units that come through.
Yeah, I guess that could work. But what I did, I had evolution chamber walls. I double layered the walls so that if they somehow break through, there's another one.
We had one wall, yes. What about second wall?
I put lots of bio launchers in the natural plus near the ship, and then they shoot. I don't have to keep controlling them. I just shoot the spots where they're coming from, and then they'll eventually die. And Zagara dumps hunter killers and just stalls. So I put her, but it's difficult because Zagara sucks on this map to begin with. So yeah, I put her in E.
So much speaking of weird strategies. Bio launchers, double walls, and just to dump for an E. For
I
Zagara.
don't expect people to do that.
See, the more you talk about all these weird strategies, the more likely it is that someone's about to get into a lower tier, because it's basically what you're saying is, this is what you need to know to survive as this commander. If you need to know some like undergrad course on how to win as this commander in order to win with them, they're probably a pretty low tier.
I think we have to reword that. We can win with Zagara, even without knowing all of that strategy, but we all have to be carried or play at equal.
Course.
Play at equal footing with their allies.
People have teammates.
People have teammates. So if you're on equal footing, yes, you can win with Zagara, but this tier list is for people who are more into hard carrying their allies. Basically, if you're helping someone complete the mutation and you need info on which commander to do it best with, this is what we're doing. So that's why we keep putting Zagara at lower tiers. Not because she can't win, but because it's harder to carry as Zagara compared to the other commanders.
It's very often, like, you have to just really know what you're doing with Zagara if you want to be carrying. Otherwise, if you want to be carried, Zagara is amazing because she's very, very, very good at getting that like 20% that your ally couldn't handle. She is not so great at killing 50%, and she's gonna need you to really know what you're doing to kill 80%.
In fairness to Zagara, she can get the 50%. She is bailing. It's actually easier for Zagara to get 40 to 50% than some other commanders do. But yeah, being a hard carry is a different thing. So yeah, I get what you're saying. Just, because I'm just trying to preempt what the comments are about to say. But yeah, I agree with everything. So E tier?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I believe that's all the commanders. Let's move on to rankings. Who's best among the S?
Stetmann.
Stetmann.
There it is. Another week, another Stetboy win. There it is. Who's next?
I'd say Alarak.
I don't have problems with Alarak.
I say Dehaka because it's less work.
I think it's Alarak and then Dehaka personally, but
Because with air units, you can still F2, and a pack leader, you just sit them there.
That's my point. If you just mass destroyers and don't make ascendants, it will work.
I agree with Stickspender.
On fire and eat the destroyers.
No, I have two pairs of supplicants.
Yes. If Alarak just takes a nap in a massive wall of fire, that's very unhealthy. But if he does anything other than hugging a wall of fire, you'll be fine. And even if he's on a move, no, the infested will gather around him. Yeah, you'll have to move Alarak a bit.
Does that mean Alarak is not S if it's not P3?
That might be the case. Yes.
Yeah,
but that doesn't make him, not the second best commander with prestige.
Without P3.
True. That's true.
Without P3, it's way more work to do Alarak. He can still do it, but he's way more work.
Agreed. So without prestige, Alarak goes down to maybe A or even B. But we're not.
No. Well, without prestige, he's probably like bottom of S. He's still S possibly. I'd say he's probably S, but bottom of S if he's without P3 actually. With P3 is when he's top of S. Without P3, he's still ascendants are still going to rip through everything. It's just that you actually have to spam spells instead of A move destroyers, and the difference in difficulty there is very significant.
All right. So.
However, the difference in absolutely slaughtering the infested, not so different. Everything dies.
That being said, Dehaka is still pretty easy because you don't even. I guess if with the second prestige,
thinking it would be Alarak and then Dehaka. I feel like Alarak's easier than Dehaka, but
I'm indifferent either way. I can see cases for both because with Alarak, you just sit you just sit your fleet on top of the ship. The stacks of life leech go to Alarak. If you just micro him a little bit, you can have two supplicants behind you that you don't even need to macro. You can just hold position them so they can feed Alarak if he's low. For Dehaka, you can just sit the pack eaters there. Mervar will automatically do his thing. Glevig just needs to use the fire breath Duckron just needs to stand there.
Both commanders are basically the same. You stick
Yeah.
a bunch of air units over an
And
angry
stick air
hero unit
units.
on the ground, and everything dies.
Yes.
Yeah,
All right. Let's break
that's
up.
fine. Then as is fine.
As is fine. All right then.
Yeah,
You guys don't like the coin, do you? Who's next? Who's next?
I didn't think of that, but I think this is just fine.
Zeratul?
No.
It's kind of leaning towards Tychus, but
I don't.
Oh, yeah,
I
that's
don't
right.
see a problem with either of the three. I can see Tychus
say
being
Tychus.
next because he just stands the Odin there.
Easy to use.
Yeah.
you just
Yeah.
stand the Odin there and T-pose angrily.
Then
Zeratul
Nova or
above
Zeratul?
Nova.
Like this?
Nova, you have to like do stuff.
Yes.
You have
Yes,
to like drop drones, blink around.
I've seen Zeratools win with doing nothing. I still don't know why I can't. I swear my Abrogators just have a different AI and they're dumber. Or maybe it's just my luck with the... We've already seen my luck with the polarity shards
The
and
polarity.
how everything just me being in the game makes things break, apparently.
Power overwhelming too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's why your name is
I
Styx
still-
Bender, not Styx Straightener.
I still remember the first time I played a mutation against Power Overwhelming, everyone was talking about how hard it was, and they were all talking about black holes, and I was like, huh. I didn't see Amon cast a single black hole the entire game. Literally, the entire first game I played against Power Overwhelming, 0 black holes.
Maybe it's the commander you picked.
Yes, he just didn't want a black hole in Artanis because he felt bad for Artanis, obviously.
Probably. All right. Who's the best among the A?
Karax.
Karax? And then...
I would say Fenix.
I think Phoenix too, because of scouts.
I think it's Karax, Fenix, Swann, Manx, Vorazun.
Do you agree to two?
Yeah.
All right.
That looks good.
There it is. For B tier, who's the best?
Kerrigan.
Yeah, I think Kerrigan. And then Stukov or Raynor?
I think Stukov's a bit better than Jimmy.
Here I was thinking Raynor managed to be in the upper half of the bracket with him being in B tier. Turns out we have 11 commanders. 11 commanders in S or A.
Yeah, surprising.
And
how
he's
low
bottom
Jimmy
of
was.
B.
He's pretty solid here. It's just it's such
solid.
an easy mutation that
Poor Jimmy.
Yeah.
The one mutation where he's not bottom half, he's still bottom half. For D tier, who's better between Artie and Han and Horner?
I think if you know what like how to delay Archon drops and like shield overcharge timings, Artanis is better. If you just want to make stuff and let them do their thing, Han Horner is better. Because you just make Hellbats and Wraiths and just let them fight, and the fear is good.
Fear is
Okay.
good.
So,
I think I have to give this one to Han Horner. Yeah.
all right, let's give it to Han and Horner. All right, guys, there's the tier list for this week. It's very top heavy, meaning the mutation is not that difficult. Go watch Tutu and Styx Bender's channels. I will link them down below, and I will see you guys next time.